Hi and welcome to Brainstorm, the podcast where we talk about news, politics, science, and religion from a skeptical atheist perspective. This episode is recorded on May 31st, 2014. I'm Corey, and with me tonight are Rene and Raz, along with special guest David G. McAfee. I'll just do this. We're here with David G. McAfee.
McAfee. David G. McAfee.
McAfee. Okay.
Like the virus scan software.
Well, I'm sure I always say that wrong too. Prominent atheist author.
There's getting to be more and more of those.
Yeah, Disproving Christianity and Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist.
That's correct.
Guess at first I was going to ask you about some of your education. Like you have, I think I looked it up, and you have a BA in Religious Studies?
That's correct, yeah. I majored in Religious Studies and English, so I actually have two BAs, one in Religious Studies, one in English. The Religious Studies degree has an emphasis in Christianity and Mediterranean religions, and that's what I've always been interested in. Studying religions has just always been what I've enjoyed. I remember growing up, I wasn't raised in a really religious home, but my parents were Christian and my grandparents were Christian. They just didn't, they were what I call cultural Christians, so it wasn't something that occupied a lot of their time. And so when I went to church, I was more curious than anything else, and I wanted to learn more about what else the Bible had to offer, but not just the Bible, what other religions had to offer, and how they were different, why they believed they were different, and why believers believed the things that they did. So as I grew older, nobody was really surprised when I decided to major in religious studies in college. That was just kind of the natural progression of things. I had already been attending various churches throughout high school and even before that with different friends who went to different churches just out of pure interest. So nobody was surprised at all. And I just want to also be clear that religious studies is different than theology. It wasn't study of religion from that religion's perspective. It was a comprehensive view.
So more of looking at it from a societal sort of angle?
Yeah, a little bit. Mostly we were analyzing the origin of the myths, how they interacted with one another, how they didn't interact with one another but still had similar ideals, because humans are very similar in various cultures. And when you study it like that, it's really impossible to be religious, because you see how similar they all are, and you see that they all had their same cult beginnings, and you see that the prophets all had very similar, and we still see them arising today with Scientology and Mormonism and stuff like that. So it's really tough to be religious if you understand how religions work.
Right. Well, it kind of answers my question, how you could be a religious studies major when you're an avowed atheist.
Well, it was a big problem for me, not in my bachelor, not when I was getting my bachelor's, not at all. I actually had a great time. I was some of my best classes, my best college experiences were in those classes. But when I applied to the master's PhD program for the religious studies department, and I had a meeting with the chair of the dean of admissions, who was going to decide whether or not I got in, and it was before I even filled out an application. I was just meeting with her just to kind of show my intent. And after 2 minutes in our meeting, I saw her Google my name, David McAfee, and I saw her pull up the first link, which was Amazon, and I saw her look at my first book, Disproving Christianity, and she just looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, but you won't fit in with this department's milieu because you're an atheist activist with an axe to grind." And I explained to her that my personal writing had nothing to do with my education, that it wasn't a part of my educational work. I was very clear about that. I mentioned that Christian missionaries wouldn't be kicked out of their program for being Christian activists with axes to grind. So it didn't make sense for me to be. But she had worked for a theology school, so her perspective was a bit skewed. I did end up fighting it, and I got an apology letter from the campus. They asked me if I wanted to reapply, and I said no, thank you. I had no desire to be a part of that program, but I did get an apology letter, which I actually ended up publishing in Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, because in the book I talk about how it's more than just talking to your family. It has educational and professional implications as well if you want to be publicly a non-believer. And I ran into that firsthand in college, so I share that story and published the apology letter from the school in there too.
Well, makes sense why you wouldn't want to go back. What are your odds of actually getting your degree from them?
Yep.
I'm currently reading Disproving Christianity, so it's quite an interesting book. But you did have for a while there where you were giving it away for free?
Yeah, and I still do that. It's pretty much an ongoing thing. If somebody wants to email disprovingchristianitypdf@gmail.com, generally at least once a week, me or someone from my team will be able to respond to emails and send free PDFs to anybody who, usually it's for people who would like to try it before they buy it, or they're unable to afford it for some reason. Even though Kindle books are just $5 these days, that could be a lot for some people. So I encourage anybody who has any problem affording that. But even people who don't and they just want to see what it's like before they pay for it, that's fine by me as well.
Well, that's kind of cool. Not a lot of authors subscribing to that particular business model these days.
Well, I mean, for me, especially with Disproving Christianity, it's a book that I wrote it in college, and I basically I started off by compiling a bunch of inaccuracies and contradictions within the Bible. Being a religious studies major, I was constantly, especially since there was an emphasis in Christianity, I was constantly looking through the Bible anyway. And in some of my classes, I took a New Testament literature class. So we looked at the New Testament from an English perspective. So we looked at just like we would have looked at any other book, any Mark Twain, anything else, and we analyzed it like that. So that included a lot of looking at contradictions, which caused me to think, well, my grandparents are biblical literalists. If they subscribe to everything that's in the Bible, and as I'm learning about this, I just kept saying to myself, I just want to publish something that puts this all together, all the contradictions and problems that I know about.
It'd be a thicker book than the Bible to begin with.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I did a kind of a pocket guide version of that just because I wanted to, like I said, make sure it gets out to as many people as possible. So I kind of channeled the biggest or the most important or the most damning, I'd say, evidences and put them into sort of a pocket guide.
Right. Well, I'll bet you that made Grandma and Grandpa happy.
Surprisingly, they don't have any huge problems with me. I mean, they love me still. They support everything I do. They're still biblical literalists, and they're still very set in their ways, of course, but they don't have any hateful words towards me, which is really great, especially in this day and age. I've heard a lot worse. I mean, in the book, in Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, I published coming out stories from 6 other non-believers in addition to myself. And the 6 others, they're different. They span different households, different cultures and stuff. So it's really interesting to see the people who had it worse off than me. My grandparents were surprisingly okay with me.
Well, that's good. My grandparents are both dead now, but they were both really super heavy Christians, and I never actually did work up the balls to say, "Hey, look, you know what? This church stuff is silly." They just, it seemed to give them a fair bit of comfort, so I didn't see the harm in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's go ahead.
And in the book, in Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, I talk about how there may be many instances in which there's no reason to talk about it or a lot of people wouldn't openly lie. I don't know if you lied to your grandparents or not.
No.
But omission, I mean, in certain instances, of course, is
it just never came up, I guess.
Yeah, and there are also entire societies where if you're to be an open atheist, you could be punished by law, you could be sentenced to death. There could be a lot of implications. So I talk about in the book how there's some responsibility that comes along with it because of the negative stigma that's attached to atheism still, unfortunately.
Well, fortunately, we're not in one of those areas.
Yes.
Yeah, fortunately. Although I guess in some states it can have quite extreme repercussions.
Well, certainly if you're a politician.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely, especially in South in America. You wouldn't be able to really be elected unless you have not just a faith, but a specific Christian denomination that they are acceptable, that they agree with.
I don't think you can be Like, I don't think it matters where you are in the down in the States. You can't be a politician and out as an atheist.
Well, there are a lot of.
I think there's about two. Yeah,
a lot. I guess it's not quite as many as I thought there was.
But they probably don't. They probably downplay it a lot more than they would.
Rather than talk about it, they probably
Well, do you think Obama's an atheist?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's as Bible thumping as obviously some of them are, but
Obama talks about, in one of his books, he talks about how he was raised in regards to religion, and it's actually some of the quotes in there, I've quoted them before because of how great his mother's perspective was. She was an anthropologist, and so she approached religion as an anthropologist. She had his quote was that she had a equal parts detachment and reverence, and she kind of stood back and watched. And he said that the Holy Bible in their house sat alongside the Quran and the Norse myths and the Greek myths and stuff, and this is exactly how it should be. He also then talks about how he found faith later on and became a Christian and stuff, and it's entirely possible that that's true, but from just a background perspective, his story of how his mom raised him is exactly how I'd recommend raising anyone. You just educate them to the fullest extent about all the faiths, just as from a historical, factual perspective, and then let them make their own decisions from there.
Well, except the Greek myths are actually cool to read. There's shit going on in those myths.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in modern myths as well. I guess we just kind of are used to them, so they're not as. I mean, virgin birth is something that if we weren't so used to it, we'd be like, oh, that's an interesting part of a story. But because it's ingrained in our culture, we're like, oh yeah, that's old hat. That happens all the time, virgin birth. But especially for the time, that was probably a pretty. It wasn't really a unique concept, but there are examples of unique concepts within not many within Christianity, but Judaism kind of revamped the Mesopotamian faiths in such a way that they created some new additions. I really like all myths. I mean, they're just generally interesting to me, especially when you learn about where they came from and you can trace them back to their origins. When you trace the Noah flood myth back to where it came from. The three wise men, how in the Bible it never even says three wise men, it just says wise men, but because another religion near that area had three wise men, we've kind of incorporated that within our own understanding of the religion. So there's just so many examples of them intermingling with one another, and that's my favorite thing to learn about.
Right.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, I haven't read Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, but was it just written for an age group, or was it written as like a younger person, or for anybody?
Realistically, it's written for anybody, especially because, as I mentioned before, it's not something that is highly focused on family. I know the title's Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, but that's really just the title. In the book, it talks about professional situations and educational situations and times in which it might be okay, not okay. Also, it just has general information for debunking myths about atheism, basically trying to remove that stigma from atheism. It'd be a really good book to give a religious person to read through and find out more about what atheism actually is, and how just because you're an atheist now, I mean, you might have been before, but just because they find out that you're an atheist now doesn't mean you suddenly lost all your morals and you're now a bad person. I mean, they should recognize that their sons, daughters, cousins, aunts, anybody could be an atheist, and the only way to recognize that is to come out or to just be public about it if asked. I mean, not necessarily if just go barge into somebody's conversation and tell them, they're not going to care, but I'm just talking about not hiding the fact that you don't believe, that you're unconvinced by ancient rumors.
Yep.
We're all nodding.
Legit answer. Something I noticed on your page was there seems to be people putting copies of Disproving Christianity in hotel room drawers.
Yes. So that started off with I've just been I travel for conferences and for speaking gigs and stuff like that. So when I'm at a hotel, I'll generally just put a copy of Disproving Christianity in, and then take a picture of it and post it on the page. And then other people decided to take that up and do the same thing, and it got a little bigger, so I started a crowdfunding campaign and raised $1,500 to buy a bunch of copies of Disproving Christianity. Wow. And now we've been donating them to local libraries and bookstores, and I'm going to be sending out official letters to hotels to ask them to tell them that we have a large number of people who would like to get some opposing material if they choose to include the Bible in their hotels, that they should either remove it or include something like Disproving Christianity, and that we'll happily provide the books for free and everything. So that's something I'm ready to send out the letters any day now. I'm just putting the final tweaks on them.
Well, it's not like they're a state institution. You can't really compel them to remove them.
No, you can't compel them legally. I'm just talking about asking them if they choose to do that. I'm not filing a lawsuit.
Okay.
I'm sending a polite letter offering them free copies of my book if they choose to do so. And I largely, I expect most, if not all of them, to say definitely not. But I would like to see if anyone wants to elaborate as to why they won't either remove the book or add something or provide. I even also suggested providing a litany of other religious holy texts in the book, in the drawer as well, if they choose to do that. It's just odd that it's only Christian, especially in such a diverse melting pot country.
Right.
I thought it was a neat thing.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you're trying to erect a statue of Baphomet beside their statue of the Ten Commandments on the courthouse lawn.
I think the best thing, though, is libraries. We've just been donating them to libraries, Mom, Dad, Atheists, and Disproving Christianity, and the librarians, some of them have refused donations, have said that they won't take it, especially at places in the South.
Of course.
The other day, we donated them to a librarian who said she herself was an atheist and that she'd be the first person to check them out. So little wins like that help me a lot.
Oh, that's cool. Little inroads. Well, where are you from, by the way, David?
I'm originally from Sacramento, California, and now I'm living in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, okay. Right on. You're not very old. Just from reading your posts and stuff on Facebook, I'd assumed you were a fair bit older than you appear to be.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm 25, though.
Oh, right on. Lucky. I wish I was half as smart as you when I was 25.
No kidding, eh?
Probably could have avoided a lot of really fucking dumb mistakes.
Well, with the religion stuff, like I said, I got an early start. I was very involved, very young. I was writing my first essays for American Atheist magazine when I just got into college. I was just a freshman, and just kind of started that ball rolling early.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
On your page, you do a lot of not just atheist stuff, but also like skepticism stuff. Posts against conspiracy theories and whatnot. Chemtrails.
Yeah, I pretty much try to cover any sort of false belief or unsupported belief or unproven belief. Anything that's a widespread belief that I think detracts from real problems. Conspiracy theories would fall under that category. I think that there's so much real corruption, real proven, established, and in the process of being proven corruption, that to focus on things that have no evidence to support them just seems kind of like a waste to me. I mean, it's I call it the boy who cried conspiracy, or just detracting attention.
Right.
Building 7 was an inside job.
That one's always weird to me because I was just a kid when it happened, but I remember watching the news and watching Building 7 burn for hours and hours and hours. And I mean, it wasn't hidden at the time, but now they act as though it blew up out of nowhere. I remember them saying, "Oh, it's going to fall soon." It's falling. Yep, we had expected that to happen, but I guess their memories are very limited in that regard.
Yeah,
very selective memory.
Same thing with the chemtrails, though. They all say that, oh, well, the plane, they didn't leave chemtrails or contrails this thick in the past. It must be something different. You just 2 seconds to Google World War II contrails. You see so many, and they're just as thick. And I mean, it's just simple science. It's not even.
It's because the reptilian overlords are traveling back in time.
That's the best. I've had a surprising number. I think it's something like 4% of Americans believe it, but I've had maybe 4% of my page members who believe reptilians as well.
Really?
So, I've definitely had people send me in their videos. I was just talking about it this morning about how they sent in a video of all kinds of different politicians licking their lips during speeches because that's proof that they're reptilians. And I informed them that lizards, as they're claiming that they are, don't have lips and that their tongues are used for smelling. And they just got confused on science again. As the
It probably just proves the politicians smoke more dope than they admit. They got dry mouth.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it proves they don't have chapstick on them at all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just a different conspiracy.
It's because, I mean, the reason I talk about all these things isn't just about skepticism either, though. It's just in general about critical thinking and trying to analyze preconceived notions. It's really powerful to have a belief and to have something contradict that belief. It's almost impossible for many people to give it up. It's like a part of themselves if they've identified with that belief. So when I started writing about religion early on, I soon realized, obviously, that it's such a contentious topic because so many people are ingrained in their beliefs and they think that it's a part of them. And when you rip that away, and I mean, just by talking about inaccuracies or contradictions or giving even educational, scholarly criticisms, they get intensely angry. And it's not just with religion. It happens with conspiracy theories, ghosts, psychics, literally anything that is an unsupported belief. People seem to be very sensitive about it when you just ask for evidence.
Well, sure. And then the smarter the person with the silly belief seems to be, the better they are at justifying it.
Rationalizing it. And it's called apologetics in religion,
Right.
but it's everywhere. I mean, I've seen chemtrail apologetics as well, and I've seen all sorts of people try to use mental gymnastics to make sense when really they could just look at their own beliefs for 2 seconds and just say, why do I believe this? Is this a justified belief? And I'm working on a project now. I know my first 2 books, Disproving Christianity and Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist, very religion focused, and my next one's really going to branch out into different areas of supernatural and paranormal and just critical thinking in general.
Okay.
Excellent.
I guess I haven't read any of your books or anything like that, but I had a thought that popped up. Like when you're doing your religious studies, and obviously you went the atheist route. Now, do you look at it in a historical context or just just the religious studies side of it? Like, because I know I have a bit of an anthropology background. I halfway through my degree and went, this is expensive. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this. But like I've looked at religions kind of the way like I look at religion as, that's how religion kind of evolves in history, as well as, they absorb the other cultures, like you were saying. And, like, do you look at it as cut and dried, like historically, or do you just take it all in one look, I guess?
I mean, I definitely enjoy the history of it a lot, but it's important to acknowledge that religion's still active today and it's still having problems, and that's why I'm an activist for secularism. It's interesting because I love religion. The study of religion intrigues me more than anything, but I also am an activist against religion when it comes to encroaching on our state or on our rights as non-religious people. So it is a weird distinction. I run into people who hate religion with every fiber of their being, and they hate me because they think that I'm an enemy because I just analyze it from a scholarly perspective, and I understand its place. I understand that it was a way for our primitive ancestors to satisfy their curiosity for the unknown, even though it's false answers, and even though I don't agree with those false answers, they wanted something to explain the things that now we're able to explain through science. Science eventually took over that field of explaining the unknown, and that's where we go now when we look for those answers. But I also understand that it had its place in history and that it did serve many functions for creativity, for a lot of other things. But like I said, you have to look at it from a lot of different angles. Religion's a complicated topic, which is why it interests me so much.
Right. So do you, I guess, following that up, where do you fall kind of on Does religion get a blame for a lot of things that it shouldn't get blamed for?
I definitely think many people, especially on my side or non-believers, would say that religion causes war. And I've often disagreed with that, just with the clarification that I think more often than not it justifies the war. So while something else might be the underlying cause, they say it's okay and they're able to use this divine answer, and nobody else can argue with that answer because it's something only between them and the divine. Since they made up the divine, it's only them, and it gives them no accountability for their actions. That's why it leads to justification of some of the worst crimes in history. But it's important to note that it's not the cause, but the justification.
Yeah, it's just a convenient route to extremely vilify the enemy.
Exactly, and if your religion tells you that these people are evil, then it's so much easier to convince people that these people are evil and that they need to be dealt with or convert to your religion. And otherwise, not just convert to your religion, but that meant converting to your customs, becoming one of you. It's a full-on conversion, especially in history. That was really important, and forced conversions worked really well, unfortunately.
We must wear our blue jeans and listen to our rock and roll.
Exactly. That'd be a good religion.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I guess if we don't have anything else.
Okay, I do want to mention one other thing that I'm working on right now, which is within the next, probably, I just got this news this morning, so it's kind of exciting, but within the next 2 months or so, I'm going to be publishing a children's book, which is going to be focused on not just religion, but beliefs in general, how they work, where they come from, and what we were just discussing, what purpose religion served. I'm going to talk about how our ancestors came up with religions in the first place, and kind of just cover that on a very, very basic level for young children around 12 and a little younger. So that'll be very exciting. I'm working with a great artist named Chuck Harrison, who's done some minor illustrations for me in the past, and I've already seen the artwork for it, and it's very awesome.
Oh, right on.
I don't know. I can already imagine some parents groups already kind of going, oh, not.
But I try, like I said, this isn't an atheist book. This is a book that just deals with the facts of what you would learn if you went to a college and learned about religious studies. You would learn about how they came up with those ideas, and that's what I want to teach. And I think that we could deal with more of that, more knowledge in America and around the world.
Okay, so it's going to be about how Christianity is a bastardization of 37 other religions and that sort of
essentially.
Thing, yeah.
I don't even think the book mentions Christianity specifically. It just really talks about how our ancestors are just like us. They had imaginations. They had questions about things in the world around them, and they used religion to answer those questions, and eventually those religions evolved through storytelling. We're naturally storytelling species, so that really helped along that progress. So I'm just going to tell them about the journey, like how that video tells how a bill became a law. It's going to tell how an idea became a religion.
Right. Well, people in the Stone Age didn't have closets or beds for monsters to hide in or under, so here you go. Mean old Sky Wizard is pissed with you.
I think you just quoted the book, so thank you.
Okay, well.
All right. Well,
yeah, just a quick one. Do you still write for American Atheist?
I do. I send in stuff occasionally, and it's not like I'm a regular columnist. I'm a contributor there, so I'll just send in essays when I have them. Since I've been working on 2 concurrent books, I haven't published anything with them for like 6 months or so. But when those books come out, there'll definitely be excerpts of them in American Atheist magazine and in Canadian Free Thinker magazine and some others as well.
Cool.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, David.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Say that I need to be saved. Say with me, the devil got his way. I want to know how when you are praying, when you are doomsdaying, how you think you know say I need to hear the truth. The sales pitch of eternal life and eternal youth. All these blessings you are bestowing upon the one you say is all-knowing. Or are they really deserved if you're sending me where you say I am going? And so you think that you can tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the thoughts from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your And so you think that you can tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your life.
What do we want to do here?
You tell me, man.
We were talking about Elliot Rodger and that whole thing at supper a bit.
Who's he?
He's the guy down in,
What was it? Isla Vista, California?
yeah, that's right.
Oh, was that the guy that went nuts and shot a bunch of people? Or
Yeah, he shot some dudes and some women. And
Well, no, it started off, what I read was he started off and I guess he'd had this plan for a while. He started by stabbing his roommates and then got in his black BMW and went and shot at a few people, missed them, shot a couple people, and then eventually cops kind of came around the corner and he crashed his car and he shot himself.
and then they found afterwards, a video that he had posted on YouTube or whatever,
Yeah.
or somewhere.
Well, he also had, like, he printed a manifesto. Like,
Yeah, 144 pages or something.
Yeah, it was. I think it sums up with, I couldn't get laid, so I'm awesome, but couldn't get laid, so I'm going on this killing spree. Like, to really simplify it.
yeah, because I guess chicks dig psychopaths. Is that how that works?
I guess, yeah. Like, he really went on, in his video, he went on quite a rant about how he's the true alpha. And
Well, there was something. Apparently, he was trying to be, or he went to all these pickup artist websites and all this kind of stuff, and so he's buying into the lingo of the pickup artist. And yeah, he thought of himself as the true gentleman and the alpha male and all this crap that if you've read, like, I've read the Mystery Method or whatever,
right?
where half of it is just crap. But,
What's that?
the Mystery Method.
Pickup book? How to?
Yeah.
Sort
Kind of,
okay.
yeah. Like it. The companion book is called The Game, written by Neil Strauss, I think, is the author's name.
It could be.
There's because every woman's the same, and there's a set of techniques that will work regardless.
Yes. Supposedly.
Kind of. It's where it's.
Well, that
it's,
seems legit.
Yeah, that totally seems legit, eh?
you know, where I've read it, but then again, it's an extension of the same old crap. You know, where if this is how you pick up chicks when you go to the bar. You know, you do this, and this will work.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it works for next to nobody. Or it works for one dude, and and then they think that's the way to go.
Or it works for one dude one time.
Yeah.
And he's like telling the story for the rest of his life about how, this book worked.
Yeah. But that's the thing is this guy bought into it, and reading a little bit about it, like I didn't read too much like religiously into this whole situation, because I think it sums up that the guy just was nuts. He had issues, and he was, even though his parents knew he had issues, they tried to help him. He was still able to legally get to this gun, and he went on his little rampage.
Okay, now was he on antidepressants?
Yes, I believe
Yes,
he was. He actually, that's one of the arguments.
That's a
Once
thing.
again, that seems to be a bit of a common thread with these guys that go fucking completely wackadoo and start just shooting the place
but,
up.
Well, that argument, I think, doesn't necessarily hold water, because how many other millions of people are
lots of them are on them, but look at the school shooters, that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Those guys are all on fucking antidepressants.
Yeah, so are a lot of people, and
I think that speaks to the fact that there may be something wrong with them mentally, so they're being medicated. But it's maybe even the wrong medication. I mean, these guys are screwed up guys and shouldn't be getting access to guns.
See, the school shooting thing, though, that's I realize that correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation. I don't have any keen graphs to demonstrate my point here.
Right.
But it seems to me, I mean, anecdotally, right? Dispute me if you wish, but I believe that antidepressant use has gone up sharply in the last, say, 30 years.
Well, yeah, that's
And school shootings, that wasn't a thing when I was a kid. You never fucking heard about that. It never happened.
I wouldn't say never.
Well, I shouldn't say, never, but
Because there was that.
that wasn't a thing.
No,
was it Texas?
wasn't
I think it was.
nearly
The
what
Bell
it is
Tower
now.
shooter or something.
Yeah, that was Texas
And-
Bell Tower.
Well, yeah, there's mass killers and that sort of shit. But there wasn't a couple of disaffected youth walking into their fucking high school with machine guns and saying, all right, motherfuckers,
I think
happening."
there might be something to that, but I think there's also other factors. I think there's also a lot of cultural.
What it makes me think of is maybe not necessarily directly linking to the antidepressants, but like these are people that are on antidepressants for a reason. Like even if you say they weren't misdiagnosed and they weren't just prescribed just because, then you're looking at people who have serious issues. And I don't know.
Well, that thoughts of suicide or violence, that's like a known side effect.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
yeah,
there is that.
That's
That
right.
is a common
in depressed
rant.
people.
A good friend of mine was on antidepressants. This is going back a few years, but he's one of the most stable, rational people I know. And he told me that while he was on these antidepressants, he's standing there just talking with someone at the water cooler at work, and he's thinking, I should just fucking strangle him. It would be so easy to just kill this fucker right now. And of course they didn't do it, but those thoughts just popped into his head, and it seemed normal as anything to him.
I mean, yeah, it could be, but I mean, there's like reading
anecdotally again.
Anecdotally, like
I haven't ran a study on this.
Unfortunately, none of us here are have our PhDs or doctorates or anything like that. So
We're just talking.
We're just talking out of various orifices. But yeah, I think there might be. The antidepressants might be part of it, but I was also reading that one of the things, like with this case, because like it was the one article I was reading, was they wanted to blame it on the fact, this pickup artist community, which is its own
Yeah, it's own
kind of douchebaggery. But the other thing is this guy was like he had a list of up to like 14 therapists. Like
he's been in therapy since he was 8.
Like, I mean, they one of the questions in the article I read was is the problem that this guy was overly had too much therapy is his problem, because he was constantly going to therapy.
No time to actually talk with normal people.
Well, that's just it. And then, he's going to therapy and being pumped up, and who knows what's being said to him,
or prescribed to him.
To him, or combination
How
thereof.
many of these therapists were simultaneous too, giving the guy prescriptions that maybe
counteracted, or like who knows? Like
right.
it's it's like
And obviously the guy was a whack job to begin with.
Nobody normal goes and shoots people.
No.
But
it's kind of just a really weird situation. And then I was watching.
I shouldn't say normal. Nobody rational.
Because like they were saying that community the guy lives in is just a weird, privileged, hormonally charged,
right?
Like the whole community is like one. It's like your stereotypical frat party. So it's like it's just a.
Which was part of his issue, right? Because or according to his video, right? Like he was pissed off because everybody was getting laid except for him. So he's like, as if, I don't know, there's been a number of articles talking about this sense of entitlement that he had and how he thought that women owed him sex because he was so awesome and he was so rich. And
but I'm using Axe body spray. I mean, what could possibly be going wrong here?
Yeah, but like, I mean, and that's just it. Is there's a point where you can kind of empathize with the guy to like huge asterisks on that,
right? Yeah,
but there's also like, where did he make that leap of, I'm awesome. I should be, these women should be with me, and I'm going to kill everyone. Like, where did he make that leap? Like, that's where the problem is. That's where the,
Well, you're trying to understand the motivations of someone who's clearly insane, right, to begin with. So, I mean, looking for a rational explanation for that's a losing battle.
Yeah. The other thing that comes up is, why does that seem to be happening more so I guess maybe because of the focus, but more so in the States than anywhere else.
Are you talking like the misogynistic aspect of it?
I'm thinking more of just that snapping point
the
where the killing. Like, I mean,
I blame OJ.
He started a trend,
It's all OJ's fault.
Yeah, it's all OJ's fault. Yeah. Instead of it slowly driving away in a white Bronco, it was a BMW.
Slick lawyer is using the Wookiee defense to get him off.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's just I mean, and then there's the misogynistic side of it, but mind you, like
well, the misogyny, I mean, that's as old as time itself, right?
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like I even said to Corey, I'm like, I'm sure if someone had a videotape while we're sitting around bullshitting someday, it would look horrible, like some of the stuff that's probably come out of our mouths at some point.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can make jokes. And I'm pretty sure that when myself or any of my friends say something that to an outsider, they'd think, oh my God, that guy fucking hates women. It's a joke.
Yeah. Or even,
and like we were just talking about, I think you should be able to joke about anything. So I mean, that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
But the misogyny that results in someone killing a woman or somebody else over a woman, that sort of shit, as though they're property. That's all from religion, right?
I think it does.
Ultimate means to control. And
I think it does.
Religion. Well, culturally, I don't know if you like. I mean,
that's how you get people to listen. Is you tell them God wants you to do it this way.
I don't know. Like, I mean, there are various.
I think a lot of the modern
it denigrates them to second-class citizens.
Does come from it. Like there's a lot of that, like you say, in the Bible or whatever religion, it does put them as second-class citizens, and
they're chattel, right?
Yeah,
property.
they're property.
I don't know if I totally buy that argument because I don't.
Well, look what's going on in Pakistan.
That's true. That's true. That's definitely religion.
That's Islam, right?
And even that case in, I think it was Sudan, where
maybe they've all had them.
There's that woman that was stoned to death because they charged her under. I can't think of the A word.
Apostasy.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, her father was Muslim, but she was raised Christian. She married a Christian.
We might have been talking.
I think we're talking about her last podcast.
And then and under their Sharia law, well, no, your father was Muslim, you're Muslim. But I don't know. I don't like with this Elliot guy. I doubt I don't think religion came up as why he was doing it.
No, yeah, I just think that there's
Well, no, but it creeps
Culturally,
into society
yeah.
and informs society a little bit, right?
It is kind of that background.
It sneaks in the back door.
yeah, I think so.
I mean, we're still from the time we're in diapers, we are incorporated to this is your role, this is your role.
Yeah, that's right.
You know.
Even I mean, as a father of a boy and a girl, I notice just in general marketing the way you don't even notice it, and you treat them both like they're just human beings trying to, I don't know, get good grades and learn things, and the next thing you know, your daughter's going to princess parties and like wearing pink and doing fashion shows at school, and it's just like, where did this come from? It blows
She turns
me
into
away.
Honey Boo Boo.
Oh my
It's
god!
time for friggin' intervention, man.
And she wants me to buy her this kids makeup kit at Walmart.
How old is she?
8.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. My daughter is starting to get into that too, and it's really only kind of natural, especially if they ever watch TV or
Hang out with other girls.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like-
they're going to get it eventually.
Yeah, my roommate's kids are like that. Like they love them. Everything's princess and
You just
makeup.
like all I
and-
did with my daughter is I just said, look, stuff like makeup, that's for older girls. You're too little for that right now, and that's the way it is. I mean,
Yeah.
she might have put up some sort of fuss,
Yeah.
but you know, it might be fun to just give her the makeup. Say crazy,
at
go
it.
nuts.
Go at it.
Keep your camera handy,
Yeah.
and then bust that shit out when she's 16.
That might be funny.
I don't know. My roommate could probably do that, and there's there'd be some very bad pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess
So this Elliot,
this Elliot dude,
But yeah, I know. Yeah, he's just a messed up dude that went too far. And mind you, some of the reactions has been just as ridiculous. But
I think reactions like everybody's going to react. Like there's always going to be those extreme reactions to these things.
the hyper feminists are always lurking out there, right?
well, actually, I read some guys that were responding from the pickup artist community.
I
and
don't
can't-
think that would be very good to read.
No, it was
They
not.
should have just shut the fuck up.
Oh, they
maybe.
should have just, yeah. And it was, I can't remember what the reaction was, but I just kind of went, really? Did you just like type that out? Like, and hit send?
it. Yeah,
hit
and send
send? My God. Like,
I can't believe some of the things you see people type out though sometimes. Like,
Oh, they're not availing themselves of the marvels of modern technology, aka the fucking backspace key.
yeah, eh?
or delete.
Yeah. Just she just blows me away. Like occasionally on on one of these articles, you'd see a comment like saying that they wish the writer would be raped, and it blows me away that you didn't. I mean, even if that's your first thought, you still sent that. You didn't take a second to go, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's an extreme reaction.
That's perhaps an artifact of the anonymity of the internet. It's the sort of thing, like if you said that to somebody's face, you're probably going to get your fucking lips moved
I don't know.
around.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, it's almost like the flip side of the coin of everyone having their own YouTube channel, ironically, as we're recording a podcast, but where the anonymity of saying something that outrageous, and then like this guy did, like when he recorded his little speeches, he probably thought he was being quite profound,
Right, yeah. Rather than just being an ass.
So, well, did he not record? I thought he recorded that video like on his way to throw down.
You know, that one I'd have to look up. I can't. I'm not.
I didn't
it
watch
was
the video. I
recorded-
refuse to.
It was.
You know, I
recorded
had
I'm not
in
going to
his
give that
car.
sort of shit any fucking view
You know,
counts.
I
You should,
kind of
yeah.
had the same reaction. Like, it was in part of an article I was reading about it, and I kind of clicked on it as it started. I'm like, no, I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Rap, that's
even
right.
saying the guy's name kind of pisses me off because to me it's giving them a measure of fame, no matter how small. I mean, we got like 8 listeners,
Maybe
Yeah,
six.
and 3 of them are us.
Although, just type that guy's name into Google, and you're going to get how many hits. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, now, yeah,
There was.
because
I-
people
I-
don't know enough to just.
I lost track of how many different articles I saw over the last few days about it.
Well, I think that's what drives a lot of that sort of
And
behavior.
I- you know, I
is
think
they
ult-
know you'll know who I fucking was when I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean, there
Yeah,
is
maybe.
that.
Kind of that.
You know,
That fame aspect to it.
Yeah,
suicide by police kind of thing. But you know,
that's really what it seems to be about. You know, is getting attention in a really fucking bad way.
and it has seemed to,
And obviously the guy's
and for some
dysfunctional.
reason, it has seemed to escalate. I don't know whether it's more coverage or whether it actually is escalating, where it seems like.
Well, there's definitely more coverage. So
Because I mean, there was Columbine. Mind you, there was school shootings before Columbine. Columbine hit, and it was big news. And then there wasn't a lot for a long time. And then in the last year, we've had
oh yeah, I don't even know how many since Sandy Hook. It's been
Well, Navy Yard shootings. It's not just school shootings.
yeah,
right?
that's right. Or theaters.
Yeah.
well, yeah, Aurora, and then you had there's,
It's just insane.
but
No, I don't know. Something about this kind of the misogynistic aspect of it. I don't know if you guys are into reading about comic news any.
Eh.
There's this writer for, I think he's for DC, David Goyer,
he's also written a lot of adaptations for movies.
right? He wrote the Batman versus Superman, I think.
And he did
Okay. So I can't nerd rage out for that yet.
No, not yet.
yet Ben Affleck nerd rage, but he also did. I think he was the one that did the Blade movies,
Okay, could be.
Okay, those weren't bad.
and I think he actually had a hand in. And I could very well be wrong, but I think he had a hand in the Dark Knight stuff.
Yeah,
The
I
Christopher
think that's
Nolan
right.
ones?
The Christopher Nolan one. I think Goyer had his hand in there.
Okay, might not be a total waste.
Well,
But what
Maybe.
the article, what
Yeah.
Corey's talking about, he
Yeah, what-
schmuck.
basically he's saying that She-Hulk is like a male fantasy, like she's a porn star who.
A porn star based on what? Or was that
Well,
her day job?
Well, no, she's a lawyer as her day job. But
Eh.
he's
A lot of
but
parallels there.
it was an interesting. What did he say? Something about. Let me click the link.
Or is it because she's got great big circus tits?
Well, it's because apparently it's supposed to be the female sexual partner to the Hulk, despite the fact that they're cousins, and that's kind of weird
I don't know.
all by itself.
I have watched too much Game of Thrones. That doesn't stop things.
Well, I mean, has this guy taken a look at any other female superheroes? I mean, good Lord.
Apparently,
They're
he's-
all just mega fucking hot. Like, shut up.
Well, and my thought was like, of all the female superheroes, I think She-Hulk is probably the most full character. Like she's got a book written about her, and from the perspective of her alter ego, and she's got like a full day job and a hell of a good comic series.
Well, that's all besides the point. I mean, it's just beside any other female superhero, I mean, if they're black and white, you'd be hard pressed to tell them apart.
I mean, yeah, there's, what's that line from Chasing Amy? The spandex and big boobs.
Well, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
And what was his point in positing that She-Hulk was some sort of nerd fantasy?
Well, he was on some podcast that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, well, of course he's good. no validity, that.
Yeah.
Some loser on a podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
What the fuck would he know?
Yeah, no, and it was a lot of people were quite upset with his comments about it because he.
People with She-Hulk shrines in their
There was a
basement
couple
bedroom.
cosplayers that like do She-Hulk a lot, and they were pretty pissed off about the whole She-Hulk is a porn star comment.
Well, I guess maybe those people are internalizing it a little bit.
I don't know. Like I said to you when we were sitting there talking about it, like at one point, yeah, female superheroes in the comic books were just arm candy, or like they just take the superhero and throw in a skirt, and that's the female version. But
I don't know. The Wasp really helped out in the Avengers, man.
yeah,
that 3/8 of an inch tall person that could fucking make you go, ow, hey,
Yeah.
stop it.
Unless you read the Ultimates, and then that is a totally different story. But yeah, no. Now they do seem to be making a more conscious effort to write better stories with the female superheroes.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they haven't totally succeeded, but they're working better at it.
Well, and I really got to say, I think that She-Hulk has always been one of the good ones, like as far as that goes.
Granted, I don't think I follow She-Hulk. Mind you, I don't read the Hulk.
I haven't read a comic book in many years now.
I mean, there is a thing on the net where they're talking about how, not necessarily even superheroes, but how women are treated in comic books, and the whole what do they call it? Women in Fridges, I think, is actually a website. I think,
Okay.
where they talk about it, and where that came from is was it because I've got the comic book at home, where supervillain kills off the new Green Lantern's girlfriend, and just stuffs her in a fridge for Green Lantern to show up and find her in it, and it's this whole thing of how.
Oh yeah, that was the kind of the origin story, or part of the origin story of the Kyle
Rayner Green Lantern,
Rayner Green Lantern story,
it's because it is a common theme where it's like you have your superhero, and then you have the love of his life, and the villain gets to the superhero by killing the love of his life, and doing something horrible, whether it's Spider-Man was at Gwen Stacy
thrown her from a bridge.
Yeah. Or this case where they stuffed her in a fridge, or, the whole Lois Lane always getting saved by Superman.
Except for I'm not sure what the name of the storyline was for the computers, but the Injustice video game. Have you played that?
Yes, I have.
Where Superman goes nuts, and after Joker tricks him into detonating a nuke and killing Metropolis.
Oh, there was
including his pregnant wife, Lois.
Well, didn't he take her? Wasn't it a different timeline where he thought Lois was someone, or his Doomsday, and he flew her into outer space and or something like that? Whichever. It was, interesting twist on it, but.
Well, what else you got for topics there, Phil?
Okay.
We went right off the fucking rails.
Oh, wow. Were we even ever on the rails?
Always ends up back at comic books.
Hey, let's go to this one. How about questions atheists are sick of answering?
Oh, God. Why do you do this to me, man? Every fucking time.
I think that could be fun.
You just like hearing me sigh and groan and grasp my forehead, try to not have an aneurysm.
The sound of face palming. You getting caught on mic.
Double face palm.
Oh, it's 15 questions. Okay, perfect.
Okay. I only think it'll take to rip through these.
I don't think it'll take long at all. Why do atheists hate God?
Who?
That's a good answer. Why do atheists constantly bash God, but they are suspiciously silent on Satan?
Because I always thought there was no God. It was, or there is no Satan. It's just God when he drinks.
Okay, so these are questions from people that don't actually know what an atheist is.
Well, that one certainly is.
Right.
They actually have an addition to that question. It says, Is it rude because it's rude to bash one's father? I don't understand that.
Oh, because Satan is our father.
Yeah, because, well...
Right. That's...
Oh, okay. No, that still doesn't. Atheists, how did the universe start?
Oh, don't know. We have some theories.
That's actually what that says.
Oh, really?
No idea, but we've got some theories. Atheists, if God didn't make the universe, who did? That's the wrong question.
Doesn't need a who.
Once again, you can be a smart ass and going, which version do you want?
Yeah, that's right. Why is this picture has Jesus above in space?
Oh, that's a new one. Jesus made the universe now.
Yeah, Jesus totally did it.
I guess since he's his own dad, he can do just about anything.
Do you think murder is wrong? Yeah.
Duh, of course. Depends how fucking stupid the person asking these questions are, though. I think a case could be made.
I think
just say it.
Yeah, I think he's up for justifiable homicide. Let's see your IQ score.
Whoops. How can atheists have morals? Well,
Easy.
Yeah. Because morals are derived from thinking about things, empathy.
If the only thing keeping you from going out and fucking screwing around on your wife and killing people is the say-so of a Bronze Age myth, you've got some fucking issues.
Yeah,
that's all
right.
that's stopping you.
Fear of punishment.
Yeah. Well, not even the earthly punishment. It's
imaginary punishment.
Yeah, the punishment that you're going to get after you die. Fuck.
Number 7 is
and
just
Santa's
Pascal's
not going to
wager.
come next year, too. What was the next one?
Number 7 is just Pascal's wager.
Oh, okay.
Isn't atheism a religion also?
Like not playing golf as a hobby.
Sure, the way bald is a hair color. Why can't atheists just let people believe what they want to believe? I don't see any reason why we can't.
I really don't care about that. It's just when it crosses the lines into policy that I want them to fuck off and eat a dick.
That's just it. You can believe whatever the hell you want, but when it suddenly becomes, when they are no longer creating the separation between church and state and belief and whatnot,
Yep.
Well, it's that so much of policy is informed from religious, specifically in North America, Christian dogma and mythology. That's why we see it all over the friggin' place.
And that's why that's why you always hear atheists arguing about it.
But then again, you still can't believe anything you want to believe. If I believe that there's fairies talking to me in the wall, they're going to come find me and medicate me, bringing us back to the heavily medicated. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but if a person wants to believe that, what's the harm in it?
I guess as long as I'm not actively doing anything about it.
If they're not going to harm anybody else, and it's not going to affect policy in any way, shape, or form, I say let them.
Yeah.
Who cares? Whatever gets you through the fucking night.
Okay, number 10. One nation under God. Question mark.
That Pledge of Allegiance and currency thing?
Yeah.
In God we trust. It was like what was it, 57?
Yeah, it looks like.
Something like that.
Something like that. I read that, yeah.
The Korean War.
Looks like 1956.
56, sorry.
Yeah. And 1954 in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Well, and
That's
that sure
American
made
shit
everybody
anyway.
patriotic.
Yeah. Do you, atheists, do you idolize Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong? No.
Yeah.
I like this meme. Do you drink water? So did Hitler.
Is a daily user of oxygen hydroxide. Or was it? Dihydrogen oxide. That's what it is. Yeah.
Why do atheists offend us religious people, especially Catholics?
Why do atheists offend us? Okay, well, the being offended is up to the offended person.
Yeah.
Not the person, quote unquote, doing the offending. That is your reaction to something that somebody else says. If you're an adult, own your fucking behavior and don't get offended. Simple.
Or the smart-ass answer to that is because it's funny.
Because you're a stupid twat that can't control your own emotions. That's why you got offended.
Just ask Bill Maher.
Why don't you have faith?
Because evidence is better.
I like that. Yeah, it definitely is. Don't atheists rely on faith because they can't prove God doesn't exist?
Burden of proof is not on the person disproving the claim. It's on the person making the claim. Done.
Well, I could also say because of, David McAfee, he had, you can prove that there isn't a God because there's so many of them.
Yeah, that's right. They contradict each other.
Exactly. I mean,
and certain religions contradict themselves. So
most of them,
yeah.
in fact. Any of the ones that have bothered to try and write down their tenets in,
they
in written form,
yeah,
they always end up contradicting themselves.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we shouldn't have wrote that out, but it's carved in stone. Oh!
Why do atheists celebrate Christmas?
Because a couple of days off is kind of fucking nice in the winter.
That's it. That's all. That's 15. Terrible, terrible questions. There was a bit about, like the Friendly Atheist had a thing about fictional atheists on television.
Oh, okay.
All being like robot, unfeeling, bizarre type people.
Well, it depends on who's playing them. Like, have you seen the trailer for that new Kevin Sorbo movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he plays the bastard university prof, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's like a born again, right?
Yeah.
Very religious guy. So and he's not a great actor, but he's an actor. So if he wants to put that kind of a spin on it, yeah, this is the atheist and he is a cunt. So that's going to come through and sink through on some sort of level. And that's why that particular atheist looks that way. I don't know if they talk about any other ones like House.
Yeah, they.
'Cause I don't know if the guy who plays House. It seems to me that he actually is an atheist.
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. I think he is. Yeah, he's definitely a skeptic.
Right.
So
I think ultimately they write them that way because it's TV and they're still trying to appeal to the masses.
That's what's expected.
Yeah, so
that's what an atheist looks like.
Yeah, it's easy to grasp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I saw a meme one time where they showed like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory and a couple other ones, and it's like, isn't Asperger's hilarious? Because they had all the,
yeah.
And that same problem is because like it's written for the mass audience, and everyone knows this is what an atheist looks like, even though that's not the case.
Well, it's like the blaxploitation movies from the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. This is how you expect a black person to act, so that's what you're getting. Even though out on the street, fucking nobody acted like that.
No.
Yeah.
This is what a pimp looks like,
Although, I mean, if they're talking about atheists are assholes when confronted with idiocy, well,
yeah, some of us
that's
are.
got me too.
Yeah, some of us are.
I'll fit in that little portion of Venn diagram.
I don't know. I look at they have like what's her name from Bones?
Oh, okay.
You ever watch that show?
Yeah.
And they have like it's this little meme, right? And it's got Bones, Sheldon, Dexter, House, Dr. Cox from Scrubs, and I don't even know who this other character
Which one's
is.
Dr. Cox? Oh, that guy. Fuck, he's hilarious.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. And they've got words like robot, emotionless, murderer, misanthrope, asshole, and pessimist.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I like all these characters.
Yeah. The good thing they're not attempting to vilify any of them with just labels.
Right, hey, like...
Misanthrope. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it sounds bad.
This is Hollywood's portrayal of atheists in television. Rebecca Watson from the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe.
Yeah.
She wrote a kind of a response article saying
okay.
why we shouldn't be worried about this sort of shit. This is kind of ridiculous to worry about.
Right. Well, clearly it is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to go the same way as, like the portrayal of black people on television, right? You look at like the Jeffersons or something from the 70s. It's not an accurate reflection of reality. Just like
that's right.
These particular atheists that they decide to throw labels on. That's not an accurate portrayal either, and we know that.
Yeah, that's right. And I would say that anybody who thinks about it should know that.
Well, that's
even
the thinking.
Even people
part
who
is-
believe in even the people who believe wouldn't, like, that I know already know that that's not who everybody who's an atheist is.
Right. I know lots of very religious people that fit into all of those.
Yep.
Robot, emotionless, murderer, misanthrope, asshole, pessimist.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm sure we could each come up with someone to fit in each of those roles that happens to be very religious.
But yeah. So I guess we shouldn't worry about what Hollywood portrays us as now.
Oh, Jesus. If anybody worries about what Hollywood's portraying them as, they just need to get a life. And worry about
Calm
something
down.
important.
It's saying they always write for the lowest common denominator. It's just the way it works.
Well, they don't raise the bar for that in the States. They have to bury it. It's a matter of how deep.
They're always trying to dumb it down and dumb it down and dumb it down.
Atheists are still the least popular people in America.
Not amongst other atheists.
No, that's right. Americans would rather vote for a philandering, pot-smoking president than an atheist one.
Yeah, they elected him twice. He was called Bill Clinton.
I would posit that a philandering, pot-smoking guy is an atheist. He's just not.
He's just
admitting
not
it.
an out atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with philandering and pot smoking.
Depending.
I don't know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with pot smoking for sure.
I've philandered a time or two. I hope that word means what I think it means.
Otherwise, that might have looked really bad.
I hope you're not listening, Mom.
I don't know. This was kind of interesting. Researchers find association between porn viewing and less gray matter in the brain.
Oh, really?
They
really beat your brains out then.
They can't draw the conclusion that porn causes your brain to be slower or have less gray matter, or whether or not you a person who has this detriment in their brain watches more porn because they require more stimulation for their pleasure centers.
Okay. Huh.
So they say that there needs to be more study done.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
For some reason, we have no problem getting volunteers for this.
Do you mind sitting in on a study? You have to watch porn for 8 hours. Okay.
No problem with that. And then we're going to stick you in an MRI.
Is there porn in the MRI?
It gets boring in there.
Yeah.
All I can think of is Robin Williams. You have a brain and a penis and only enough blood to run one at a time.
What did they have here? They recruited 64 males between the ages of 21 and 45. Participants were asked to fill out surveys on the amount of time spent watching porn per week, which was found to vary considerably between participants. The average was not more than 4 hours per week, which leads me to believe that some people were being dishonest.
Well, I don't know. When you're talking, watching it in 10-minute increments. I mean, do you really sit around and stick around for the fucking exposition? Oh, I really need to get in on the character development of this one.
I'm missing the plot.
If only they'd stop
Fast
having
forward,
sex.
fast
I'm missing a
forward.
movie here.
Exactly. No, I think 4 hours of watching porn is
Maybe
actually
that's-
significant. Man.
Yeah, I suppose maybe that's more accurate than I thought.
just needed some perspective.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's 240 minutes, man.
that is a lot of.
So let's say in 10-minute chunks. That's like 24. You're talking like 3 times a day. These guys are fucking.
These are committed.
They're busy lads.
Yeah, that's right.
Forearms like Popeye.
Shit. Not even when I was 16, man. Like, holy crap. That's intense.
Let's face facts. The internet was not an easy thing to access when you were 16.
Sears catalog sure was.
Nice.
And if you're old enough, you know what I'm talking about. Why do I keep having to get 2 copies of the Sears catalog? So the people who watched a lot of porn were
They did so.
smaller brains.
Let's see.
The finding.
The brains of men were then scanned. They were scanned whilst they were being shown pornographic images or non-sexual images. They found a negative association between time spent watching porn and gray matter. The volume of the right caudate of the striatum? Wow. There you go.
Did you say the right caudate of the striatum?
I did. Caudate.
Wow.
Yeah, caudate.
That's edgy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to pretend to know what that means.
The scans.
Well, I'm going to pretend.
The scans apparently showed a decrease in function of the brain region known to process motivation.
Well, yeah. Why would you feel like doing anything else? I'm watching porn.
Like I said, since they can't
Priorities,
prove,
motherfucker.
Yeah, since they can't prove that it was the porn that caused the decrease in gray matter volume, they have called for further investigation. Future studies should investigate
I'll
the
bet
effects.
They have.
The effects of pornography longitudinally or expose naive participants to pornography and investigate causal effects over time.
So they want to get like the melting of some Mormon kid's brain captured on MRI. Showed them like double penetration German porn.
Yeah. The former would probably be the easier to gain approval from an ethics committee, according to the article. Exposing people who haven't seen porn to porn is not necessarily a ethical thing, I guess.
How else are you going to find out?
Talk about a blind study.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, so basically they can't tell what the hell's going on here. They just know that there's seems to be a decrease in gray matter associated with porn.
Right. 4 hours a week. That's crazy. I got to up my game. That was just average.
Yeah.
That was just average. Shit. Wonder how far they varied from that.
I don't know. Like I say, it said that it was quite a difference.
Some
from
guy
one end to
watches
the
for
other.
like 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
Ends up like Quagmire from Family Guy with the
Yeah. That's it for this episode of Brainstorm. Thanks for listening. I apologize. I'm no longer doing Twitter shoutouts as it gets to be quite a long list. Thanks to everyone who followed, favorited, or retweeted us on Twitter. I'll still be doing Facebook shoutouts and the occasional podcast shoutout. This time around, the Facebook shoutouts go to Jeffrey Goodwin, Aaron Young, Tammy Andrews, and Mandy Robinson. Thanks for liking or interacting with the page. This week's podcast shoutout goes to The Prism Podcast, the podcast and blog that does skepticism and dentistry at the same time. Very informative and very smart, Jason and Grant run a great show and have good guests on each week. Just a bit of information for events. Make sure to go to the CFI Regina events page and check out upcoming events. The day after this episode is uploaded is the Cosmos finale at the Industrial Park Cafe in Regina. And it looks like there's going to be prizes, including a possible raffle for 2 tickets to the TEDx Regina event. In addition, the CFI Regina will be showing their support for the local LGBTQ QIA community by participating in the 2014 Pride Parade on June 14th. Check out the event page for details. Thanks again for listening. If you want to keep up with what's going on the show, check us out on Twitter at BrainstormPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/BrainstormPodcast, or check out our website, brainstormblog.net. You can help us out by giving us a rating or writing a review on iTunes or Stitcher. I'll put all the relevant links to this episode on the website very soon. This episode's featured music is Saved by Shelley Siegel, and intro and outro music are Debonair by Dope. I had two thoughts all of a sudden at the same time.
Overload.
Train of thought got derailed.
Yeah.
This was your idea, man.
Well, yeah, I actually, for some reason, thought I'd be prepared for this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Corey will add it in post.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, see if you can find that. Find a clip from that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yep. I think ultimately, yep.
You're not paying attention to anything we're saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this
tablet.
fucking tablet to work. Pisses me off.
You need the tablet adjusting hammer.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that was
This
easy.
episode is just going to be just a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Well, if it's going to be stupid questions that
Yeah.
blast an answer off in 3 seconds.
Yeah, they're not very good questions at all.
Can you
anyway.
reload that? Maybe.
Refresh it.